Well. It's Saturday, December 6th. It's noon Eastern time. I'm Bob Harris. It's time for the Ask Me Anything live stream, week 14 edition. Your questions. I'd like to remind you, footballguys.com is the website. I appreciate you joining me here every week at this time, noon on Saturdays, on the Football Guys live YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button, the notification bell to make sure you don't miss any episodes of this fine live broadcast and the many others, the pregame show, the Thursday night reactions, the trivia show, tons of content available here and on the other channels, Cecil and Sig on the Audible, the Dynasty channel with Jeff and Dave, and the Fantasy Football channel with Dave Kluge and Alfredo. So check all those out. You can find me at the website. All my work is there. The Daily Update podcast. Get that every morning, 10 minutes of just the news and information you want. So make sure to check that out. The Fantasy Notebooks every Thursday, Friday. I do my face off with Gary Davenport today. My In and Out is out, or it's in. How does that work? It's in. I turn it in, so it's out. In and Out, not the burgers. Fantasy column. Find a link on my X feed. I'm there at Football Die Hard. And it's week 14, and we got all kinds of stuff going on. Good to see everyone here. Hello, everybody. Let's check in. Hello, John. Hello, Cleveland Sanders. I'm good. Andrea's in the house. Hello. Dame. Coastal Elite. Scott Against Evil. Royal Slade. Mr. Scampers. Yes, I think that's what everyone likes. Mr. Scott Kobe in the house, the great Scott Kobe. I see some questions in. You know how we're going to do this, though. We're going to run through some injuries first. The injury situations are kind of like mostly settled. There's a few that are still fairly questionable, and so we'll run through those. I just want to remind everyone, too, you'll hear me on the radio. If you don't get your questions here, I'll be on tonight from 8 to 11 with Mike Dempsey on the NFL radio and the Fantasy Channel. You can catch me weeknights 8 to 10, Monday through Friday. On the Fantasy Channel. You can find me Sunday with Jeff Mans on the pregame show. So be sure to dial those in. We get you tons of information. And if you're not listening to Sirius at that time, you should be here on the Fantasy Live channel, Football Guys Live channel, listening to Joey Wright and the crew do their pregame. It's fantastic. I watch it while I'm talking on the radio. So let's run through the injuries real quick and see where we're at. And let me know if the sound's not good. Sound should be good. I think I figured everything out. It was a little glitchy last week. And thank you for Royal Slade for letting me know about that. A little glitchy. Jeff Bolt's still here. That's not the great Mike Dempsey. By the way, Mike Dempsey was on the couch this week. Fantastic episode with Sigmund Bloom. Be sure to catch that. Don't miss it. Dempsey's a fun guy. He's super interesting. Behind the scenes, like very competitive man. Great dynasty player. So he had some great thoughts with Sigmund. And love the couch anyway. And so appreciate that. Lester Freeman in the house. Appreciate you coming, Lester. Thank you all for the sound check. Appreciate that. All right, let's run through the injuries real quick and get that over with. Pull the Band-Aid off that and roll through some of the other more interesting things like your questions. And there's all kinds of stuff going on. It's week 14. We do have teams on bye. The Patriots, the New York Giants, San Francisco 49ers, and Carolina Panthers. Some good players that we would like to be playing. So it'll make for some tougher decisions, have some injury issues, but a lot of the issues are resolved, so it won't be like waiting. There's one big one. We'll talk about that, the Chargers situation. I'll kind of run you through. We kind of have a blueprint that I'm using. So be ready for that here in a moment. If you have that question, I'll kind of answer it all at once and then answer it 5 more times in the chat. Thank you. You're all too kind. Great seeing everybody. Man, we're almost through the season. All right, quick reminder, and I wrote about it in this week's notebook, and I hope you, and I know everyone in this room is doing it because you're in this room, right? But man, play it out, man. Play hard, play right through the end. If you're don't have anything to play for, be the spoiler, ruin someone's season. What could be more satisfying if your season's already ruined than wrecking somebody else's? So it's always a big deal. You owe it to your league mates. I don't need to lecture you. This crew knows that, but we're all in leagues where you have people who don't set their lineups or aren't playing it out or lose interest or whatever. Don't be that guy or that girl. And I know most of you here aren't because you're here. So let's go with the injuries right now. The early afternoon window, Seattle Seahawks, no one of interest. Tariq Young is out. For the Falcons, Drake London's out again. We're hitting the point where you wonder if they'll be pushing him back. We'll talk about the Cardinals in a second, where nobody's in a hurry to come back, and some won't come back at all. We already know. So we'll see with Drake London. The PCLs can be tricky, and that's what he has, a PCL strain, the posterior cruciate ligament. What we saw with Brock Bowers earlier this year pretty much slowed him to a crawl until he took the time out to rest, and he's definitely improved since. We've seen with Ricky Pearsall. The 49ers were very patient in bringing him back, yet still he doesn't seem to be quite up to speed, or nothing's clicking yet. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe the bye week will help him. Cincinnati at Buffalo. T. Higgins returns. He's off the out of the concussion protocol, cleared yesterday. He'll be back. So this will be the first time since week 2 we've seen all the pieces in place for the Cincinnati Bengals, and Buffalo's defense isn't the most daunting matchup in the world. So it'll be interesting. I like Chase Brown in this one as well. For Buffalo, Dalton Kincaid. Been missing time with a hamstring injury. Been working on a limited basis the last 2 weeks. Then yesterday he came up with a knee issue. Wearing a brace to go with the hamstring. Seems uncertain there, Josh Palmer. And boy, what a great matchup. If only we could have Dalton Kincaid, every tight end against the Bengals, right? Maybe not this one. So Josh Palmer, would that extend to Dawson Knox? I don't know. Josh Palmer has the knee injury and an ankle injury. He's doubtful. Probably won't play. Tennessee Titans, no injuries of note there, nor any players of note that we probably want to get into the lineups. For the Cleveland Browns, Dylan Sampson's questionable. Outlook uncertain there. Jerome Ford will move up behind Quinshon Judkins, who should be very busy in a super favorable matchup. For Washington at Minnesota, the quarterbacks are back. Jaden Daniels returns to the Commander starting lineup. He seems to be fine, fully cleared. He's determined to put on a good show. He's been quarterback 9 in the 6 games he's played. I don't know why I wouldn't consider him that in that same range now. Noah Brown could be back for this one as well. Questionable, but Dan Quinn said he expected it. He was optimistic he'd return this week. Let's say expected is too strong a term. For Minnesota, we all wondered how bad, we know how bad it's been. We wondered, man, maybe there's a chance Max Brosmer could be a thing. He was a thing. He was worse is the thing he was. So we're happily welcoming J.J. McCarthy back to the lineup. Ty Chandler could return too this week. The running back, he is questionable, must be activated from IR. That'll have to happen like at 4 o'clock Eastern time. Miami, New York, everyone's clear for Miami. Darren Waller back in the mix there. Justin Fields out, but Tyrod Taylor already the starter. I like Tyrod Taylor a little bit. If you read my in and out column, he's got some rushing equity. There's a lot of interesting plays this week. Some of them on New Orleans. Alvin Kamara's ruled out. Chris Olave, questionable, but expected to play. Played through the same back issue. I'm told it's spasms. I talked to a beat writer last week, and he said it's back spasms, and it's not like a persistent issue. It's just like they can flare up. So it's a little bit of a concern, but it's a great matchup for the passing attack, and that includes you, Tyler Shuck, and even you, Devon Bella. You'll find him in my in and out column as well. Tampa Bay, Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan return to practice this week. They will not return to the field, as has been the Bucs kind of practice. Their tendency, they slow roll these guys back and give them some time. We shouldn't have been overly enthusiastic about that possibility given their history. Indianapolis and Jacksonville, everyone's good to go except Sauce Gardner. Good news for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Bad news for them. Parker Washington, questionable. Seems like he'll be a reach to play. I'm not sure he's going to make it back for this one. Pittsburgh and Baltimore, everyone's good to go for the Steelers. Everyone's good to go for the Ravens, including Lamar Jackson. I mean, he's going. I don't know if he's good to go, but he's going. We can talk about him if we need to at some point here. The late afternoon window, Denver at Las Vegas. The Broncos will be without Nate Atkins, who has been playing for quite some time, a basically special teams tight end. For the Raiders, Michael Mayer is out with an ankle injury. Dante Thornton's out with a concussion. So everything should be smooth as silk there in terms of the players we wanted to play. I'm not so keen on Ashton Genty in this one. It's not the greatest matchup for him. He had a decent game against them last time against the Broncos in Week 10, but not the high-end production. We didn't see a great results with Greg Olsen last week. Had the volume, didn't do much with it against a tough Cleveland defense with 30 rushing yards on 15-ish carries. Chicago, Green Bay, no Rome Odunze, the foot injury. Man, this is like making a decision for us, right? Odunze struggled. He only has 2 points in 2 of the last 8 games. 6 of the last 8. So DJ Moore moves up in the rotation. Luther Burden third. We'll probably see a little more Olamide Zaccheaus as well. I don't know if you need to play any of that outside of Moore, but maybe Luther Burden this week. Green Bay Packers, Matthew Golden and Jaden Reed, both questionable, both outlooks uncertain. Jaden Reed, as I think was as of Thursday-ish, still was awaiting final medical clearance for the collarbone. So that means he needed another scan. I'm sure we'll have that done. And we'll know more about that today. He's got to be activated from IR. Savion Williams ruled out with a foot injury. Los Angeles at Arizona. This is where it gets interesting. It's not for the Rams. Tutu Atwell's got a hamstring issue. Sean McVay said he didn't expect him to play this week. So I didn't expect him to play for you either. So we all have that going for us. Arizona Cardinals, Trey Benson will not play. He was working on the side this week. It looked like he suffered a setback last week. At least the reporting suggested. Theo Mackey from the Arizona Republic said last Wednesday that he was reaching down for his knee and looked very uncomfortable in that practice. And he hasn't practiced yet. He's, again, doing some light work on the side. They have to activate him by December 10th if he's going to play this year. I'm not sure he's going to make it. Amari DiMercato out with the ankle sprain. Greg Dortch out with a chest injury. Marvin Harrison Jr. out with the heel injury. Xavier Weaver questionable. His outlook's uncertain with a hamstring. And like at this point, and Kyler Murray, they announced, will not return this season. That he's not progressing as they hoped. And obviously, what they don't want is to get him injured to complicate the parting of the ways that's going to happen after this season. So we can talk about that too. Sunday night, Houston and Texans clear on the injury front. Kansas City Chiefs, Nico Remigio's got a shoulder issue. He's been ruled out, concussion. They're having issues on the offensive line too. It could be down 3 starters against a very ferocious pass rush there. It's not great. Monday Night Football, Philadelphia and Los Angeles. We'll talk about the Chargers situation here in just a second. That runs us through the injury report. So, like a lot of things have been determined, right? So we're in pretty good shape there. That helps out a little bit, some of the clarity. Jaden Daniels. I'll just grab this one while I see it. I'm ranking him as if he's not been gone. Joe Burrow told me that would be a good idea. Look, I know every player is different, right? And some players, the rust is a little more apparent than others. Joe Burrow, it was a little apparent early in the game. But, he knocked it off in a week where there's like a lot of quarterbacks who have not been delivering or delivering what we want in some games. I would be feeling comfortable playing Jaden Daniels in this matchup. It's not so daunting, although the Vikings can scheme some things up. They've been relatively generous. So I would go ahead and play Jaden Daniels. I think I have him ranked as, if it's not number 9, it's probably number 10. I got to double check. I rank a lot of players, people. He's number 10. So there's that. And so listen, before I get into questions, let's just run through the what I call the blueprint for the Chargers situation, right? It's going to be a difficult situation. And here's, what I would like to do as I sit here today. Like, so for Justin Herbert, I'm not going to play him. If I have like an even semi-viable option, I think he's going to play. It seems like he's heading in that direction. All the signs are pointing that way. He'll probably be listed as questionable. If I'm going to play him, you want to have Trey Lance on your roster just in case. I mean, he just had a plate inserted in his hand, plate and screws. I mean, could anything go wrong? Possibly. And that's why I'd ideally not like to play him. As long as I have an option that's viable going in this early window, and that might include the player I have on my in and out column this week, Tyrod Taylor, I'm probably going to play a safer option, or what I perceive to be a safer option. And so if you're not avoiding it, make sure you use for fallback. Starting Ladd McConkey, and this is from Jason Wood, our projection team, kind of laid out this blueprint, and I've kind of modified it for my own needs, but credit Jason Wood. Starting Ladd McConkey pretty much everywhere I have him with slightly lowered expectations if it's Trey Lance. If it's Justin Herbert, I think this is going to be a run-heavy approach. So it makes sense, right? They can't pass protect well. The Eagles are without Jalen Carter, and we might have Omarion Hampton back. So I think this is going to be a run-heavy attack at the very least, whether it's Hampton and Kamani Vidal, whether it's Kamani Vidal without Hampton. We'll talk about that. I'm not playing Keenan Allen or Quentin Johnston this week. I'm probably not starting Rondé Gadsden unless I'm playing some wild DFS tournament because he hasn't fared well. Snap share was down last week. His targets were really low. I just don't have a lot of faith in him at the moment. And for the Hampton, we'll maybe find out today. But remember, they don't have to elevate him from IR until Monday. So if you want to play him and he's not elevated or activated from IR, you probably need to have a fallback plan in place. Move him to your flex position or have Kamani Vidal. So I'm starting Hampton if he's active. I'm benching Vidal but could play him as a flex. But ideally Hampton, possibly Vidal. Vidal if there is no Hampton. So there's the blueprint, more or less. What was the sound breaking up or good? Which is it? It does break up a little bit sometimes, but it should be good mostly, I hope. Good morning. So there we have it. So that's kind of the blueprint there. I'm sure I'll get more questions on that, but just in case people are wondering, that's kind of the plan I'm going in with. If I can avoid that quarterback situation, pass protection's not been good, people. Do I really want him going down on that hand and not having a quarterback for half the game? And I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying, again, we're playing probabilities here. The odds are a player going into the game fully healthy has a better chance of making through than someone going into the game with a broken left hand that just was surgically repaired this week. And who's playing behind an offensive line that can't seem to protect him very well, as the Raiders demonstrated again last week. So there we have it. I think I've said my piece there, or maybe not. All right, let's get to the questions. The moment you've all been waiting for. Steve Atwood, 5319. Hey, Steve, fellow drummer. Since Pickens didn't help my team, this didn't help anyone's team. A lot of discussion about Pickens. At this point in his career. Seemed like he was disinterested after CeeDee Lamb went out. He says he was doubled heavily. Flournoy did a great job of taking advantage of his opportunities. But it did look like Pickens was disinterested. That's not a good look for him, especially a guy who's looking for a new contract next year, whether it's from the Cowboys or somebody else. Choices are Rice, Nacua, Adams, Ibuka. You have them in the order I would play them, and I would love to play somehow Rice, Nacua, and Adams. I don't want to say this in hindsight because I have all three of those guys ahead of Pickens in my rankings going into Thursday night's game. I would have skipped Pickens with those options. And I know two guys on one team is tough. Adams, they're both inside the top 10, though, on the season. Adams, 28 red zone targets, 14 touchdowns. He is the best goal line back in football. If I'm playing one of the two, I'm probably going to default to Nacua every time. He seems like the locked-in load. He is already, clearly ranked higher on the season. The results have reflected that. So, and Rice is an easy play, even in a tough matchup. The great Scott Kobe. Hey, do I go Deebo Samuel versus Minnesota or Michael Pittman Jr. versus Jacksonville? I'm going to play this matchup and slightly into Michael Pittman. I'm not a big Michael Pittman Jr. guy. Definitely not a Deebo guy. He's had some good games. He could have a good game. They're both wide receiver 2 level plays, or tail end wide receiver 2 or high end wide receiver 3. But yes, I would play. It would be Pittman over Samuel for me. Sutton or McLaurin. McLaurin is the car. McLaurin is the receiver. Mark Jerzinski, 4763. How are you? I'm playing McLaurin. Great game last week with Marcus Mariota. Assuming he looked like he's back, on track, right? So, and we've seen him games where he's been healthy and he's fared reasonably well. We're not going to get the value we wanted out of him when we drafted him. And even then, we got a little discount, and we're not getting that because of the holdout. But with Jaden Daniels back, I'm playing him. Cortland Sutton, I think, is in a good spot. It's a good matchup. He is not far behind in my rankings. Still a wide receiver 2, but McLaurin is higher. All right, Mark Marchese or Marchesi. I didn't mean to call you cheesy. That's not what I thought. And it is a great show because you're all here. 1 point PPR, need to start 2 running backs, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. Set entire lineups. I like Harvey, and I probably play Harvey and ETN as my running backs. I would probably play McLaurin and Myers as my wide receivers. I might play Sutton over Swift. Juwan Johnson or Brenton Strange, full PPR, slightly into Strange. He's been money. I think he's been top 7 in half his games this year, and he just seems he's definitely the guy that Trevor Lawrence is looking for first and foremost. Now that Jacoby Myers here is maybe skewed that a little bit. Tony Grappensberger. Thank you for the question. All right, John Fu, 122, week 14 in first place in my NFFC prime time, but fighting to stay there. Congratulations on that. That's no mean feat. With buys and injuries, have to pick up a third wide receiver options. Pat Bryant, Isaac Bond, Noah Brown, or Gabe Davis. I'm probably playing Pat Bryant there. I like him an awful lot. He seems to have supplanted Troy Franklin as the number 2. Last couple of weeks, the playing time indicates that. The workload's there. The matchup is there. I'd probably go that direction. I like him a little more. He's the outlier in my in and out this week. So I do like him. We have news here? Defensive player news. All right. What was this? Go back to this one. Happy Saturday. Rest of season, 1 point PPR, Cortland Sutton, Troy Franklin, or Diggs. Probably be Cortland Sutton there. Rest of season, pick 2, Prescott, Burrows, or Jaden Daniels. I'm going to probably go with Prescott and Jaden Daniels. Or I'm sorry, Joe Burrows. My bad. I have screwed up. Like I keep saying Jaden Daniels when I don't mean, or like the Daniels, Jones, Joe. It is Prescott and Burrows. Cleveland Sanders, 2691, needs 2 in the flex. PPR, Swift, Pierce, Knight, or Samuel. Pierce is probably one of them. Between Swift and Knight, Knight has more clear workload. Neither of them have great matchups. Might not be a bad idea to go Samuel here. Like Swift's coming off a huge game, and I think that's going to be stuck in our memory. There are games where he's disappeared. There's games where he's been more dominant. There's been games where he and Monangai are both dominant. I probably want to avoid that, and I might just go with the wide receivers here. I'm just double checking my rankings, see how crazy that is. It feels right. Yeah, I think that's what I'm doing. The wide receivers. Let me just double check the projection numbers here. Yeah, I'm doing that. Yep. Pierce and Debo, both projected for more points. Both. That's my answer. Like I hate, like I'm an old school player, so you go back in the day where I always talk about my first laws of flexology, feature back over any wide receiver because I want the sure opportunities. The modern NFL, the opportunities are running back, except for the rare cases, right? There's a handful, 4, 5, 6 true feature backs that get the full workload, and they're phenomenal. But after that, you're kind of get into trickier waters. And I mean, some of this timeshares, by the way, this week's fantasy notebook column, I divine all those. Like if I go through all the top, the Bears, the Panthers, the Rams, who else do I do? The Patriots, kind of sort through the committee approaches of running back and what we're doing with them. So that is one of them. Quarterback strategy says my MJY 147. Bid on Jaden Daniels to block a league mate and got him. While I wouldn't start him tomorrow, wondering if I drop Stafford, Daniel Jones, or roster 3 quarterbacks for playoffs and drop a bench wide receiver. I wouldn't be averse to doing the latter. I think probably in most weeks we'll see how Daniel Jones goes, but he's playing hurt, hasn't been as mobile. The numbers haven't been super high end. I'm expecting more this week, though the Jaguars have been rushing the passer really well. I'm still kind of like more interested, but I would play both Stafford and Daniel Jones ahead of him this week. I'm playing Stafford ahead of most everybody right now just because of the touchdown role he's on. It's hard to sit him even without the mobility. But I would probably roster all 3 and drop a bench wide receiver at this point, assuming there's someone you're not it's not making your lineup. Hello, Mark Mohasek. 233. All is well. Thank you so much. PPR league. Out of these options, the one running back and one flex. Adonai Mitchell, Juwan Johnson, Devin Neal, and Woody Marks. I guess it's a who sits. One running back and two flexes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I really like Adonai Mitchell last week. I like the matchup again this week. And Juwan Johnson's part of a very narrow funnel. It's Olave, Devon Vele, and Olave in that passing attack. I guess Devin Neal's part of that. I don't want to outsmart myself. I'm probably playing the running backs here. Great RSP this week. Thank you. Non-PPR, tight ends, tight end roulette. Kyle Pitts versus Seahawks, Loveland versus Packers, Darren Wallers versus Jets. Is a playoff strategy question. Which one of the two would you roster? I'm rostering Pitts and Darren Waller. I think Waller is the guy I'd end up playing most. I might play Pitts this week because the matchup is super sweet. There, I said it. Super sweet. Scroll down to the bottom, see if there's any nonsense going on down here I need to attend to. Good morning, a troubled mind. I see you all answering questions that I haven't gotten to yet. I love that part. All right, let's get this back to where I can figure out what's going on here. Mark has another question. This is interesting. Point per completion league and 6-point touchdowns. Joe Burrow or Jacoby Brissett? It's a super valid question. I'm going to go with Joe Burrow. Let me just double check the schedules going forward. I think at this point, and yes, crazily, I want to check the schedules for quarterbacks. That was scary. Check the schedule for quarterbacks when it's time. We're talking, and Jacoby Brissett is one of them. He has been throwing for a ton of volume. I think that's the thing here. For Cincinnati, we've got, after Buffalo, we've got Baltimore, Miami, and Arizona, which means Arizona closes out with Cincinnati. It's a great matchup too. It's Houston coming up for Arizona, Atlanta. Aside from the last week's matchup where they're playing each other, the matchups to be slightly favor Joe Burrow. I'd probably go with him. That's tough, man. I think you need a flex. I need to know the choices. I'm sure they're down here below. There it is. You need a flex and a running back, full PPR, Charbonnet versus Atlanta, Monongai versus Pack, Burden versus Pack, and Pierce versus Jacksonville. It would probably be Monongai and Pierce for me. Monongai and Charbonnet, pick your poison. I'd go Monongai. I'm just going to double check that. I think Pierce is in a really good spot. It's like this is what I thought. I'm 29 and 30, Monongai and Charbonnet. So again, pick your poison there. I'd be fine with either. Slightly into Monongai. Let's see. That's horrible, Jeff. But I appreciate you being here. That's what the comment was. I'm still here. I appreciate that. Andrea has a question, I believe. Need a flex. Godwin versus New Orleans. Ken Gainwell versus Baltimore. And Charbonnet versus Atlanta. I probably like them I probably like Gainwell slightly more than Godwin, but that's the decision to me. I probably lean Gainwell. I do think Godwin's coming on, Andrea. It's starting to look good. I think the last 3 weeks for this passing attack are going to be pretty good. I don't like matchup as much this week. But that said, I do like Godwin a little bit, but probably Gainwell. Need upside after Thursday. Yeah. It's good to know, though, Thursday when we get that. Oh, damn, I played Jahmyr Gibbs and Jameson Williams and CeeDee Lamb. All right, Brad Stewart, 7019. Need upside, half-point PPR, A.J. Brown or Kenneth Walker. A.J. Brown's the upside play. Will he get it? I don't know. It's been a couple of really good games. I'd probably go that direction. I'm not against Kenneth Walker this week. I rank him about where I usually do. But since you need upside, I think we've got, Charbonnet cutting into the touchdown possibilities. I'll probably just lean A.J. Brown and hope that his recent role keeps going. Let's see. Lipser. Hello, Lipser. Last flex, Debo in 2 leagues. Debo or Devin Neal, Debo or Aaron Jones. I'd probably take both running backs. Aaron Jones, you're taking a little chance on, I guess. But you think the Vikings, you have to believe the Vikings are going to be running the ball. Commander's not a super tough matchup. Jones is off the injury report. If you're worried about the shoulder, go Neal. Need a flex and a running back, a full PPR, Charbonnet versus Atlanta Monongai versus Pack Burden first spec. I think I went over that one already. I did go over that one already because I looked down because you had a one-word question. Another one here, PPR last flex. Oh, I think I did that one. Where the hell's going? What the heck's going on here? Your host is apparently not capable today. Week 14, man. It's been a long season, everybody. By the way, if you're just tuning in, hi, I'm Bob Harris. Damn glad to see you. Thanks for coming here. I'm here every Saturday. You'll find me at footballguys.com, my weekly notebook on Thursday, my Friday face off with Gary Davenport, my Saturday in and out column, which is up now and always makes me uncomfortable. That's the whole idea of it. Can't always play the chalk. Sometimes you got to take some chances. And we're in week 14. We've got teams on by the Patriots, the Giants, the 49ers, the Panthers, teams that with players we want to play. Sometimes you got to do the hard work. So check out all my work at Football Guys. Check out the Daily Update podcast every morning. It's available to you for download. Shows up me and Mike Dempsey or me on Mondays alone. We go through. I'll go through all the injuries from Sunday in just 10 minutes. Painless, quick, and semi-useful. Also Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. You'll find me on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio doing the Football Diehards program with Mike Dempsey Saturday tonight, 8 to 11 on NFL Radio and the Fantasy Channel. It's a simulcast. Love the technology of that. 8 to 10, we'll have some great guests on, including Casey Joyner, the football scientist. Jamie Calandro will be on. I believe, I don't want to say the game. I don't know the game of the week for sure, but it might be Washington. I don't know. I don't want to say. Might be the Washington Vikings. There, I said it anyway. And check out the pregame show, 11 to 1, me and Jeff Mans. Is Jaden Daniels a safe start? I think so. I mean, safe enough. I mean, he's fully cleared. I've always tended to slow roll players back. Looking at last week, I wish I hadn't slow rolled Joe Burrow, Bucky Irving, a lot of players back. I'm not changing my overall approach, but I'm trying to be more open-minded and learn from what I'm seeing. And I think I think in instances where a player's got like a week of practice in, like Jaden Daniels did last week, or at least a week of activity this week, a week of practice, including full practices, I'm a little more open to it. So yeah, I think he's a safe play, and maybe that depends on your options. PPR, who sits out of Vele, Downs, Mitchell, or Gadsden? I think it's probably going to be Downs for me this week. Maybe Gadsden. I should rethink that. I'm going to say Gadsden. Just the numbers haven't been there, and they haven't been great for Downs either. So I think that's the decision point. I'm going to go ahead and go Downs. Let me just double check something. Always got to look at the number. Sometimes, you get this is why I love doing these chats, right? Because I'm sitting here and I'm being asked to decide between players I've not been asked to think about or decide between. You're deciding across positions. It kind of forces you to do your thing. We've got Gadsden slightly projected slightly higher than Downs. So I'll go with that. I'm not big on Gadsden. I don't love the matchup against the Eagles. It's been very tough. But Downs hasn't been doing much. And that's true. It's been Pierce and Pittman. Pierce mostly. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. I love doing that show. I like doing all these shows, like getting in touch with people and seeing what the issues of the day are. It makes it really easy for me to work on my content and figure things out and what people are interested in. Let's see if I can get back up to where I was. There's a lot of questions. All right. I'm going to play Debo there. Hi, Tip. Coastal Leap been rolling with Stafford, Lamar, and Daniels in my slot, but Daniels has been activated for my IR. Stick with all three. I probably would not. Um, I would be playing Stafford most every week. Lamar's at a point where I need to see something from him. I'd give it another week and see if Lamar does nothing again this week. I'm probably ready to move on. Given the players you have available, right? We all know what Lamar's upside is, but he's just not hitting it. Andrea has some Buffalo weather, 1 to 3 inches at stadium and during the game, starting at noon, though the game on and off, through the game on and off, and some wind also. I think this is ideal Bills weather, and I think the Bengals will figure it out. Man, the Bills are dominant no matter what the weather is, it seems like. They love those weather games. What if you already have a buy and you want to stash players for the future? I might have missed what the context of that is. Not sure what the context of that is. Sorry about that. Is Hampton going to play, or should I start Corum if he's out? Thank you. We won't know for sure. I'm guessing we may find out today. Like they have to release their injury report, or they'll release their injury report around 4 p.m. Eastern time. Maybe he's off the injury report. Maybe they activate him today. They don't have to activate him from IR until tomorrow, but he's been practicing fully. I'm fairly confident. I'd much rather play him than Corum. But this is going to be a risk tolerance situation for you. I mean, do you want to go into a game? You'd have to have a fallback plan somewhere in the Eagles Chargers game. I say trying to be a responsible assistant here. That like, telling you to, yes, play Hampton. I don't know what's going to happen. He's coming off IR. And if he hasn't officially come off, doesn't necessarily mean he won't. It doesn't necessarily mean he will. We'll hear reporting that will suggest things. But until it happens, it doesn't happen. So I'd want to have a fallback, move him in your flex position, have another piece of that Chargers offense, whatever it is, just something to help you avoid a zero if you want to play him. I'd much rather play Hampton. And maybe we'll get some clarity today. Maybe on that. So we'll look for the injury report later today. That'll be the decider, Spaz Rabbit Carlson. 15-mile-an-hour winds go or less. Scott Kobe wants to know. Yes, about that. Interesting. I don't know if it's Dawson Knox season. I've been thinking about that. I mean, every tight end. We've seen Colston Loveland have a great game. Who else had a great game? It was kind of an outlier. Pat Freiermuth had a great game, like a 28-point game against them. So, like DFS, yes. I am still playing those fellows too. And I think the receiving core there is a tough call every week at the best. I think it's 170. Well, if he would have played this week, it would have been 172, right? So, yeah, if he's not playing this week, every chance they'll try. Diane Keenly, 2662 needs a flex. One of these. Debo, ETN, Neil Flowers, or hopefully Hampton. Probably play it safe with the ETN and watch today the news on Hampton. Again, we're not, I'm like, I sit here and I say, I don't think we'll know because generally teams don't want us to know. They don't want to tip their hand until they have to tip their hand. They don't have to tip their hand fully until tomorrow at 4 or Monday at 4 p.m. Right? Like, so on Sunday games, anyone who's coming off IR has to be activated Saturday afternoon. So players like Jaden Reed on IR that might be coming off, Ty Chandler in Minnesota. We'll know at 4 p.m. if they're coming off IR. Now, they still may have an injury designation, but the fact they're coming off IR is a pretty good tell, or at least gives you something to work with. In Hampton's case, maybe comes off the injury report, maybe works fully, maybe he remains questionable and remains on IR. And they have, because it's a Monday night game, until the 3 hours before kickoff to activate him. And normally they do that. Sometimes if they want to make other moves, like if they want to elevate guys from the practice squad or whatever, maybe that'll tip their hand, or they'll need to make room on the roster. So maybe they need to hold off on promoting Hampton. So it's a tricky thing. It's pain in the neck. But that's the question mark there, Diane Keenly, 2662 on Hampton. I'm with you. I kind of like to play Hampton, but ETN is a good enough play for me. And if I just wanted to avoid the horrors of the weight and the sweat for Hampton, I'd probably just go that. Okay. Where are we? Need the need the right answer to make the playoffs. Bruce Jacobson 72-43. I hope I have one of those. Tight end, I'd go Strange over Loveland. At kicker, I'm probably sticking with. I'll go with McManus. No, what's in Denver? You ask kicker questions. I'm just usually picking the best offense. I'm going to go with McManus. Slightly over the Bloods. They're both in the top 10 this week on my rankings and in the projections. The more important questions. Strange for me at tight end. Non PPR. And I know it's non PPR, but I'd still go Strange. He's got the attention of his quarterback. I'd go. I'd probably go Algier over Mason. I did that one already. 9, 10. I'm ranking him 10. Need 2 in a Gorilla final. Read in and out about Pat Bryant. Thoughts on in and out on Colby Parkinson versus Bryant. Colby Parkinson is like a nice touchdown dart, right? That's kind of what he is. So, I mean, if you prefer that, I feel like we're all like, I mean, I want to hitch my wagon to the Matthew Stafford train and roll with it. I feel like we're taking our chances. He does have some touchdown value though. I wrote about him in this week's Face Off, right? So go check that out with Gary Davenport, the 5 questions. I wrote more about Parkinson and I am interested. Okay. So I'm probably more in on Bryant, but I am interested in Colby Parkinson. Thanks for reading, Paul. I appreciate that. Let me just take a quick look at this. Let's see if I can save you the trouble here. Parkinson has a touchdown in 3 of the last 4 games. That's what it is. It's a touchdown dart. Cardinals defense been top 10 favorable matchup for tight ends over the past month. But I mean, it's Adams, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams are all targets as well. So that's part of my problem. But Bryant is, not like a safe play by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm kind of in the Bryant camp, but it's a fair question. Need 2 wide receivers. PPR Olave if he plays, Devontae Smith, McLaurin, and Debo. It's Olave and McLaurin for me. Best fits for Kyler next year. What do we think of that, chat? I'm interested to see. I will scroll down and look at it. I've been thinking about this a little bit. Whoever hires Cliff Kingsbury. Is that the right answer? Good answer. I'd start Daniels over Scott. Mate run gun 76-17. I'd start Daniels over Darnold. Had the courage. I did too. Montgomery. I didn't start Tesla. I did in 1 league. Decent shape. Start 2 half-point PPR. Charbonnet, Atlanta. Both Vidal, Hampton versus Philly. I've Gaston as backup if I want to play both running. I might do that. But honestly, if you have the fallback, I might go just Hampton and Charbonnet and hope I get the touchdown there. I mean, Vidal, I guess the other idea is if you get no Hampton, which I don't think is the outcome, you would have the full Vidal, in what's turning into a favorable matchup, right? Especially without Jalen Carter. That might be the answer. That's probably the answer for me. Vidal and Hampton. Feels creepy. Hello, Irie-ish. Appreciate your thoughts here from Playoff Run. Have Ted McMillan, Hurts, Harvey, and Jalen Warren already. Would you drop Purdy, Corum, Spears, or Pollard to pick up Chuba? Spears or Pollard? Your choice. All right, Diane Keelanly. We need 1 flex, Debo, ETN. I thought we did this one. We did do that one. Oh, look, it's Michael Kubiak. Hello. Mahomes versus you or Lawrence versus Houston. I'm not playing Mahomes. I'm probably still playing Mahomes here. If you read my in and out column, Mahomes is the quarterback I'm out on, but only because I'm not in on him at his quarterback 5 projection, right? Like we've seen some lame games and Lawrence has a better matchup for sure. But I don't have the intestinal fortitude to sit Mahomes over, even if I think he's going to be lower in the top 10. a top 10 finish still seems likely. Olave or Vele this week? Olave. Oh, no. Oh, yes. Wicks a flex play this week. Desperation. I mean, you don't know which of those receivers is going to show up. Last week, he was the one. He had some great plays, though. It looked really good. I think he had 4 of the team's 7 explosive plays. So, you know, I gave you. All right, DC Hogs, 27, 30, 37. I probably need to know the options here. But yes, in principle, a flex play. A what the heck flex. PPR, Pierce, Sutton, Shakir. I have Pierce ahead of those. I have Stafford at 2 and Hurts at 3. There you go. And if you don't feel good about Stafford, if you think I'm riding the touchdown train too hard, that's pretty much what we're doing with Hurts, except he scores his differently. PPR and 5 bonus points for 40 yards. I need to start 3 of these 4. Romeo Doubs versus Bears, Burden versus Green Bay, Addison versus Washington, Brian Thomas versus the Colts. That was a great question. Jeffrey Cooperman, 32-28. I appreciate you. Dobbs. Oh, man. I don't want to commit anything to Brian Thomas Jr. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen the chemistry there. I just want to see how high the projections are on Burden now that we know Rome Odunze's out. Yeah, I'm probably going to go Burden. Burden over Addison. And yeah, that's it. I love it when the independent projection team thinks the same thing I think without me looking. Yes, Monangai over Hunt. Sutton or Kenneth Walker the third. I'm going to probably play Kenneth Walker. That's a great matchup. I need to check that. Y'all got some tough questions this week. I know it's week 14. We're getting down to that point where everything's tough, right? I'm going to play Walker in that one. And we could talk about the workload. I wrote about it in this week's notebook. I mean, Walker's been getting the workload. Charbonnet still gets the touchdown look. I know that, but I'm going with Walker here. In this order, I like them. Wilson, Pierce, Sutton. Wilson by far and away ahead of the rest now that Harrison's out. Purdy on bye. Herbert. I have Herbert. I can get Tyler Shuck. Tua versus Jets. I play Tyler Shuck of that group. Over Herbert this week. Hey, Cyberbank. Thanks for coming. Pick 2. Sutton, Wilson, Pierce, not PPR. I thought I just did that. I just gave you the order. Wilson to Pierce for me. Sutton is perfectly viable. I might be a little ahead of the field on Wilson or Pierce. I think we got him. The projectors like Sutton slightly more. They have him at 13.03 and Pierce at 12.99 points. Pick your poison there. Great matchups for both. Thank you, William Harvey, for reposting this stream. Scott against Steve-O. Woody Marks for Kenneth Gainwell. Probably slightly into Marks. You like any of these wide receivers to pick up a play? Vele, yes. Mechie, a little bit. Burden, yes, also. So probably I like Vele a little more than the world. Burden is probably the favorite of the projection teams, but I think Vele's coming on. Mechie also, though, perfectly viable. PPR need to start one. I'm starting, Fannin against Tennessee. It's hard to sit him. I like Waller an awful lot the rest of the season, but I think Fannin's role is a little more consistent. That was a good game. Running back question. Should I start Aaron Jones versus Washington or Hampton versus Philadelphia? Not sure if Hampton's playing. I think we've gone through this a number of times, but what you say at the end is the issue. So let's watch this until later this afternoon, and maybe we get good fortune on Hampton, right? They might take him off the injury report and say, hell, we're activating him. He's good to go. I think he'll be good to go. Also, they don't have to say anything until Monday. So like I would wait this out and probably would prefer to play Hampton over Jones myself. So I'm waiting it out. Super torn on this one, Irish. Burrow or Knicks. I'm playing Burrow slightly ahead of Knicks. Max Crosby is not out. I've already moved on. I'd probably play McLaurin over Aaron Jones, but I probably want to play Hampton if he plays. Debo, Watson, Pierce, or Shakir. Pierce. I'm higher on Watson than the world this week, or than most of the field. I guess Fantasy Pros has him pretty high too. Pierce. Debo's probably the right play. Shakir, it's hit or miss for me. And Watson's hit or miss for me. When he hits, it's been great. Drop Pitts or Hunter Henry for Gadsden in a full PPR. Pitts has been coming on. Henry has been like good and not good. He was great the first month of the season. He's been pretty good the last couple of weeks, or better the last couple of weeks. I probably have more faith in Hunter Henry than I do in Pitts. What is that? What does Royal Slade say? I want to hear his opinion on this. Gibbs number one overall in 2026. Yes, he is. Royal Slade agrees with that. Evans non PPR contribute this year. He will starting next week, I believe. And I think the schedule down the stretch is not horrible for the Buccaneers passing attack. Standard Superflex PPR. What? I'm not sure what that means. A troubled mind. I'm sure there's more to this. I'm sure there's more coming. I'll be scrolling down. Lipser PPR flex. I have Debo or Devin Neal, Debo or Aaron Jones. Thought we did this one. I'm not as big a Debo guy as everyone else. This might be a case where I'm playing Neal. Projectors like Debo better, slightly. It's like within a point. I'll go with the projectors and play it safe just because it's a tough decision. If it was me, I don't know if I'd make that same decision. Good morning. Need a flex. Choose one. Debo, ETN, Neal, Flowers, Hampton, maybe. I feel like we've done a bunch of these. Probably for ETN again, and maybe Hampton. Like I'm pretty sure we've done this one. Burden or Mooney, full PPR. I might go Burden here. DJ Moore or Shakir. I'm going to play DJ Moore this week. Is Adonai versus Miami over Addison versus Washington? For me, yes. And Jaden Higgins at KC for your wide receiver 3 over Addison. Probably yes. Definitely Adonai over Addison. And Higgins is coming on. 12 team Superflex Trouble Mind 3557. 12 team Superflex PPR Flex plus OP. Would you sit Aaron Rodgers for any of the following? Aaron Jones, Luther Burden. Probably would not. You're welcome. Yes, it is. Appreciate that. Top one, Swift, Hansen, Dowdler, ETN. Rest of the season, Hubbard coming back on, Hansen. Like Swift seems the most confounding to me. It's between Swift and it's probably Swift. I mean, it's a ridiculous question, Mark. I mean, I don't mean ridiculous. It's a ridiculous situation to be in, but I see how you can get there. A lot of these guys have come on that weren't expected to come on. Certainly Dowdle's case. Probably be Swift for that bunch. Can't believe it took me until week 14 to find my old pal Bob Harris. 513 rookie. Where have you been? No fine for question. Appreciate you. Missed you. Glad to have you back. Terry Boob, 6099. I have Mason Gordon in a flex. Mason Gordon in a flex spot and Fannin on the bench. Half point PPR. Worried about Jones being Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason. That's what that there was the disconnect. Okay. Yeah, I think so. I would. I think it's a fair concern. Angel 33, 580. High. Full PPR, Godwin or Waller in the flex. If I want to play for a high floor, it's probably Godwin. If I want to swing for the fence, it's Waller. I think Waller's going to be good down the stretch. He was pretty solid last week. I think more to come. Next league, full PPR. Who do you like better for wide receiver, Alec Pierce or McLaurin? I like McLaurin slightly over Pierce. Played Pickens, so I need points. I play McLaurin. Irish, PJ Harvey or Jalen Warren. I like Harvey. Do we trust Shakir in the snow or dive deeper? I trust him over those other pieces, except Watson's in the conversation. But you're taking a little bit of a chance with Watson. Better matchup, though. Better matchup for Shakir. But the roles, I think Shakir and Watson are kind of in the same boat. 1 week, yes, 1 week, no. It's hard to figure out which week it's going to be. But in this case, I'd play Shakir. Oh, here we go. Is he top 5? I mean, I probably wouldn't drop him either, but I don't know if he's doing that good. Yeah, I'm picking Olave over Vele, assuming he plays. And I like Vele this week, but Olave is the top. He's a wide receiver 1 if he's playing. I would play ETN here. We don't have much time. I wonder if I can get to everything. I will try. Long story short, this is the week for Luther Burden. If I've been holding him this long, it is probably so. Guru of the I am not John Hanson. I'm much handsomer than he. Would you start Cousins or Sanders at quarterback? I would start Cousins. It's a great matchup for Sanders, but I don't know how you trust that. And Kareem Hunt or Franklin in the flex. Probably Franklin. Hey, it's a tough call. And these are the decisions we make, Spaz Rabbit Carlson. In this case, I wish I was John Hanson. Defense, Dolphins, Seahawks, Commanders, or Eagles. So deflating. Like, as a general rule, I don't know what your defensive scoring system is, and we don't have time to sort it out, right? So what I'm going to tell you to do is I'm going to pick on the quarterbacks. So what do we got? Dolphins against Taylor. I think that's not a great opportunity. Seahawks against Cousins. I don't think that's a great opportunity. Commanders versus Eagles versus a beat up Herbert or Trey Lance. I mean, look at the rankings and see how far down they've fallen. It'd probably be the Eagles for me this week. Seahawks are in the conversation too. Slightly to Bo Nix in this one, given the matchups. If I knew for sure Hampton was going to play, I don't know that I would 100%. Like, ETN's been pretty solid, but you never know when Bashal Tutin's going to start cutting in. I mean, it's like I have them ranked 20 and 21 right now, and it's a provisional ranking, obviously, for Hampton. So if he was playing, if I knew he was playing, yes, but not knowing, I mean, it's pretty easy to stick with ETN, who I have ranked right with him. Chargers O-line and Herbert's hand make me nervous for Hampton. 100% that. 100% that. The offensive line has been horrible here. I'm probably going Belly here. A Knicks this week for me. I'll probably sit in Saquon. These Vikings they're going to do something. I mean, Mac Jones probably would be one of the, they're going to do something. And I think they'll try to develop McCarthy. I don't think they're just going to bail on him after one starting year. But I do think they'll address the quarterback situation. Mac Jones has been talked about. I think it makes sense. I don't know if Daniel Jones makes as much sense. He's already been there. Will he stick around where he is? Not sure. I think Mac Jones makes more sense. The San Francisco pipeline lives. Go from Darnold and get some good fortune. Get Mac Jones and get some good fortune. Oh, Blake Grupe's in. Oh, the Chargers activated Marion Hampton. So that makes it easy for us, people. So Hampton's in every question about Hampton. Let's see if Scampers beat me to the punch. Did I beat Scampers to the Omarion Hampton punch? So Omarion Hampton is active. So that makes a lot of our decisions a little easier on Hampton, right? So everything we were discussing, now we know. Let me just get something into the interesting. Now I'm over the clock, so let me get to these final few questions and get on out of here. That's good news. All right. What do I got here? Stats for playoffs defense. I'm Houston for sure. Almost every answer is going to be Houston on defense, man. They're just the disruptive playmaking ability is great. Booty or Burden rest of the season. I'm a Booty guy. Hampton is not toast. Hampton is active and playing. Got it. I will do that. Thank you, Michael Kubiak. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all. Appreciate you for coming. We'll be back next week. I hope you're back with me. Players are coming. I beat Scampers. I feel very special. Oh, look at everyone's just in here talking in the chat like they know what's going on here. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for your time. Again, in case you missed it, Omarion Hampton is active. So play him if you got him like you wanted to. It's good news. Get that clarity. We appreciate that. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you all next week. And I hope you're all back. I hope everything's all your playoff dreams come true. And everyone has a fantastic week. I'm Bob Harris. Over and out.